So today we're going to do the handover video on the Burstner Eliseo C600. We're going to start on the outside and then we're going to move on to the inside. So firstly, coming over to the passenger side, you'll notice once I've opened the door, you've got your fill-up points, which are just on the side here, diesel into the top, and then AdBlue, which is beneath that. The AdBlue you don't need to top up as that's already been done by factory, but when it does run out, you'll have a little warning code on the dash just to remind you just to top that up. As well as the fill-up points on the passenger side, you've got your bonnet release catch, which is just here. I'll pull that now and show you underneath the bonnet. Before I do that, you've got your Emm-Bee cab blinds, which are on the side of the vehicle. Pinch the tab and simply pull out. With your Emm-Bee cab blinds, these are all in the front of the cab, and I typically find it's a lot easier to operate these when you pull from the bottom and let them connect to the side. If it does feel like it's being forced, you are probably doing something wrong, and that is the rule of thumb with anything in a motorhome, so do bear that in mind and do take time just to clip it back in, like so, as you can see. Coming over to the bonnet, in all honesty, there's not many things that you need to know underneath here, just the main things if you're ever jump starting the van. I'll open this bonnet up now and show you how to do that. With the bonnet open, you can see that your jump start is here and here. Your negative goes on to here, and your positive goes on underneath this cap. The cap on the top has a positive sign just to show you and indicate where that needs to clip onto, and then underneath the cap you can then connect using the key. Allow that to lever up, undo the cap, and then it'll gain you access to the little tab that you can connect onto there. As I say, they're the main things that you need to know in the vehicle, but just to point out a couple more things, you'll notice that you've got your engine oil here along with your dipstick below that, your brake disc fluid, your engine coolant, your power steering fluid, and then finally your washer fluid, which is just in there. That concludes everything underneath the bonnet. Moving along, you'll notice that you've got your big open door here, which I've just opened for you now, along with a demonstration of the pop top, which is all up. On the side of the vehicle you have your step along with your awning, as you can see. Now your awning is a full Omnister awning, as you can see there, and you'll notice that in here is a little T connection point. In the vehicle somewhere you will have your awning pole, which will just connect onto here. When operating that, you need to push up and turn halfway and allow that awning pole to lock in. That'll then lock in, you can then wind it out. Wind the awning out to a point where you can reach. Don't wind it out all the way, just to the minimum point you can reach, and then drop the legs from the awning. The legs are just placed in the awning, and once they are dropped, you need to unscrew them, let them take the weight of the awning, and then simply angle the legs to then wind out. It'll come out 3 or 4 meters, and then when the canvas goes slack, you need to just take it in just to retain a bit of tension within the canvas. Do the exact same thing when setting it in, just angle the legs and walk it back in, and then you can lock it into place. Now the main thing to know with the awning is to always make sure that you're only using the awning in nice weather like this, or for example if there's no wind, because as you can imagine, if wind does get underneath this, it will break the awning, potentially ripping the canvas and damaging the vehicle. So it's a bit of a nightmare, so do be careful of that. You don't want any wind getting underneath there. If it does get windy, please put it in. And another thing, if the weather is chucking it down, you can use the awning. However, you will need to dry it once you've done that, so do bear that in mind. Coming to the back of the vehicle, you've got your fill-up point for your fresh water. As you can see, you'll need the key for this. Turn your Burstner key to release that, and you can then fill up. When filling this up, all you need a food grade hose pipe, which can go into here, and that'll allow you to fill your tank. Once it's pouring out, obviously you know that you've filled up this tank to 100%, and you can remove your hose pipe and connect the cap back on. Now there's 3 main drain points in the vehicle. You have your fresh water, which is located here. You have your wastewater, and then you have your boiler drain down point. They're really important because it means that you're not going to get any frozen water in the system, and you need to do this whenever you're moving off site. You need to make sure that you always drain down. Now, as I mentioned, your fresh water is here, and for your drain down point, that is just located in the back here. I've opened these doors up so you can gain access to this, and just to show you, all you need to do, remove this piece of foam, and then you'll notice that there is a little slot here. Remove this little cutout like so, and you can see you then gain access to the water tank. This water tank, as indicated here, will hold 100 litres, and using this red cap, if you like, you can remove this to clean it on the inside. Now, to drain down this system, all you need to know is this little cap. That little black nib, all you need to do is simply turn that, and that'll empty the system. Now, you do have two options for this. So if you wanted, you can turn it and turn the cap until you hear a click. Once you hear that click, it's like a little lug in the actual system itself. Once you get to that, you can actually leave it, and what that means is it'll drain the entire system down to 20 litres, as indicated by the sticker there. In essence, it's a quick drain down point, and if you wanted to keep 20 litres in the van, for example, if you're moving off site and moving to a new site and you wanted to retain a bit of water in the system because you didn't know whether you was going to get water there, or for example, if you was having a cup of tea and you planned on stopping off at places, you can keep 20 litres in the van. The manufacturer recommend, if you are travelling water, only travel with a maximum of 20 litres, hence why this option is here to drain down. Now, for example, if you want to drain the entire system down, that's not a problem. All you need to do is keep on turning this lug, this nib rather, past the lug and until it clicks, and as I say, that will drain down the entire 100 litres. Now, regarding all your drain down points, whilst we are on the topic, your fresh water, your boiler drain down, and also your wastewater drain down can all be left open when travelling. Obviously, you'll have a massive grid on site which will drive over to drain down all your water, and then when you are travelling off site home, what I recommend is leaving all your systems open, because the vibration of the road as you are travelling is going to mean that all that water escapes out the vehicle and is dumped. Now, obviously, it's not a problem because it is just water, so it doesn't contain any harmful bacteria or chemicals, so do bear that in mind. So you're not going to do any damage to anything. Moving on from this area, I'll go into more detail on the inside once we move on to that point, but you'll notice at the back here, once open, you have your jack, which is back there, along with your gas. It's got points for 2 gas bottles, as you can see, which can be connected via the gas regulator there. One thing to know with your gas is to only have it on when you are travelling. You don't want to run your gas when you are travelling, so make sure it's always turned off when you're travelling, sorry. Only have it on when you are on site and stationary, due to safety. Coming to the back as well, before moving on to the other side, you'll notice that on your windows you've got your fly screens here, and also your blackout blinds, which are there. They're located on all of your windows. Main thing to remember is that all your windows are, of course, closed and locked securely in place when travelling. Moving on to the side of the vehicle, there's quite a few more things on this side of the van. You'll notice that you've got your cassette toilet here, which is located in here, which I'll open for you. And with that open, you can gain access to the cassette toilet. Now, to remove this, all you need to do is pull up on this blue tab and simply remove the cassette like so. What I'm going to do is I'm going to pull it out, place it on the floor now, and then just show you a couple of things on how to use it. With the cassette out, how to operate this, all you need to do is twist the funnel out like so, remove the cap, and then press the blue button on the back. This blue button will release a vacuum in the system and allowing all the water to flow out steadily without any splashback. You'll also notice that you have got a blue clip here, which will turn, as you can see. Now, make sure that it's retained always in this position here, because this is what makes contact with the blade. The blade on the toilet is the most important thing. I'll go into more detail on that and how to operate it on the inside, but you need to make sure that that's always in that place. Now, for example, if the blade was to be left open on the vehicle and you was to remove this cassette, this would get jammed. If that is the case, obviously double check that system, because you don't want to pull it and then subsequently break the system, so bear that in mind. And as I say, when you are putting it in, make sure it's always in that position. You shouldn't need to do anything with that if that is the case. To put it back, as I say, put the cap back on and twist the funnel back in. Before I put this away, in regards to your toilet fluid, if you had any blue chemical, you can put that straight in the cap, or if you have toilet sachets, they can either go straight in the funnel or straight down the toilet. Just make sure that if you are using the blue chemical, that goes straight in the cassette. That can't go down the toilet because it will stain the plastic. Moving on, you'll then notice that you've got your truma vents cover here, which is on the side of the vehicle. This in essence is the vehicle's chimney, and does get very hot, so do be careful of that. Don't hang anything on there because you don't want to be burnt. Next you've got, you'll notice, your hookup cable, a 230 volt, and then on this vehicle you've got a 230 volt external socket. Coming back to the cassette where this is located, the final thing on this side is your drain down point for your wastewater. As you can see, you have got a sticker to indicate where that is located. Underneath you'll find that you've got a little rod, and on the inside of the vehicle you have a black metal lever which will connect onto here, which you can then turn down, and as I say, that'll drain the entire system. Now what I recommend is, if it is cold, always have a bucket underneath there and undo that wastewater drain down, because all your water is going to come straight out your tank and straight into that bucket, so you're not running the risk of getting frozen water in the system, so do bear that in mind. So for your fresh water, your wastewater, fresh water is on the inside and wastewater is on the outside rather. Now coming around the vehicle, we're going to go onto the inside of the van, and I'm going to show you the operating systems on the inside. As we walk in, you'll notice that you've got your step button, which is just below there, along with a 230 volt socket, and then your light switch there for your lights on the inside. Moving into the vehicle, you'll notice as soon as you walk in, you've got your control panel up at the top. You've got firstly your control panel for your heating, and then you've got your control panel for your overall electrics and things. So firstly, if I turn on the master, you'll notice a green light indicates that that's on. Moving across, you've then got your vehicle leisure battery, which shows its level here. So if I click that, that will show its voltage. You've then below that got your fresh water level, and then finally your waste level water level, which will indicate there. Now at the moment I've nothing in the waste water tank, hence why nothing is showing. I have a little bit in the fresh water, hence why that is just bleeping at me. So a very simple system. The main button that you will be using, of course, will be this main power button, which as you can see will turn on all of your lights. Individually you can keep turning on and off your switches at the various points. Coming across, you'll notice, as I mentioned, your truma heating system. To operate this, it's really simple. Everything underneath the line is what you want to select. You've got your vehicle temperature first, your water temperature second, your vehicle's fuel, and also the fan. So firstly, coming over to your vehicle temperature, this is really simple. Turn the dial to flick through the options and then press in to select. You can take this all the way up to 30 degrees if you wish to do so. Pressing the back button now and moving on to your water temperature. If I click that, you've got the option of Eco, Hot or Boost. Eco is approximately 40 degrees, and you're going to be using that when you're having a shower. Hot is approximately 70 degrees, you're going to be using that when you're washing up. And Boost is a combination of in essence the system concentrating all of its power on heating the water purely. So instead of, for example, heating the vehicle itself and the space heater, it'll put all of its concentration and effort into heating the water. You might want to do this when you first arrive on site, but it's worth noting that that will only work after about half an hour of use. Flicking through, as I mentioned, you've then got your fuel, and this is where you can of course fuel your heating from. You've got the gas option, you've then got mix 1, which is a mixture of gas and 1 kilowatt electric, and you've then got mix 2, which is a mixture of gas and 2 kilowatt electric. Moving on, you've then got EL1, which is 1 kilowatt electric, and EL2, which is 2 kilowatt electric. Now for the EL1 and EL2, you're going to be using that when you're on site. The majority of the time you'll be using EL2, but for example certain sites may reduce your power to EL1. If that is the case, Do bear in mind that you are going to struggle on heating a vehicle of this size with just 1 kilowatt electric. So if I was you, I'd flick it onto a mix 1 just to get it up to temperature. You've then got gas, which is purely for wild camping, and as I say, that'll run off your gas. It'll get the vehicle up to temperature really quickly. Coming back, you've then got your fan option. Now, because of nothing selected, it's only giving me the option of vent, which will just circulate the current air in the vehicle. But if I come out of that, if you wanted, and I selected a fuel and everything and got it all set up, you have got the option of high or boost, depending on what intensity you are after. Coming back down and flicking through the options, below you've got a timer, so if, for example, you wanted to set a time as when the heating starts, you can do. You've then got your clock, so you can change the time, and then finally your settings. Now the settings, the main important thing is the reset button. You can see that you've got the option of brightness and things, but as I say, if you flick through the options, you get to your reset. Your reset is really important, because if you get an error code, this will allow you to get rid of that and reset the entire thing. Now the reason you'll get an error code is, for example, if you have selected a fuel that you've not got and you're trying to power the van with something that you've not got. So for example, if you are trying to heat the vehicle using gas but you've no gas in the van, it's going to throw up an error code because it's obviously trying to heat something, heat the vehicle rather, with something that it's not got. If that is the case and you get an error code, you need to go into your settings, scroll all the way to reset and click that reset button. It'll say preset, you click that again, and then it'll initialize. The screen will flicker, and then it'll come back on within probably around a minute or two. Once you've done that, you then need to wait an entire 20 minutes just to make sure that everything is fully reset and the system is reset completely, and you can then use your heating system again. Now to turn this off, you need to always make sure you turn this off, because this is separate to your control panel to the right, and as you can see, it just says off there, which is now off. Now coming down into the kitchen area, you'll notice that you've got your hob here with 2 gas rings, and also your sink, which is just below that, just next to that rather. Storage above there as well, along with your fridge, which is just on the side. Now your fridge is really important that you know this. Your fridge isn't like a domestic fridge at home. It doesn't draw as much power. It of course can't, due to the leisure battery and things like that. So it does a very good job at maintaining the temperature, but not the best of getting the vehicle down to temperature, or getting the fridge down to temperature rather. With that in mind, if you want cooled things to be in the fridge, put cooled things in, and if you want frozen things to be in the freezer, put frozen things in, and as I say, it'll just maintain that, so do bear that in mind. In regards to using this, you'll notice that you've got a control panel up at the top, which is just indicated on here. This is all touchscreen, and you've got your power button on the side here. It's quite difficult to see in this lighting that we're on it currently, but if you hold that, that'll then turn everything on. In the middle, you've got your temperature, and then on the edge, you've got the option of a night mode, for example, if you wanted to run the fridge at night. To turn that off, hold and turn off like so. Now beneath that, you'll notice that you have your oven, which is just here, along with some storage beneath that. You've got storage throughout the vehicle as well here, as you can see, with all your packs in there. And then a final bit underneath as well. Just like so. Now whilst I'm down here, you'll notice that you have got a little slot in the floor here, along with a little bit of a storage panel here. Now, to show you what these contain, firstly, lifting up this little floor panel, you'll notice that you've got 2 drain down points here. These are little toggles, and as I say, these are drain down points. Now the main drain down points in the vehicle are, as I've explained, your boiler drain down point, which will be in here, and I'll show you that later, your freshwater tank drain down, which I've shown you, and also your wastewater tank drain down, which again I've shown you on the outside. These little toggles are just simply for pipelines which go to your taps and your shower, and you just get that final little bit of water out of the system. So again, very, very important, and make sure that these are drained down. In essence, these get to the bits that your fresh water and wastewater and also boiler drain down points can't, so make sure that they're drained down. Now, to make sure that they are, all you need to do is flick up, both like that, and that'll drain down. Push it down like so, as you can see, and that'll seal the system. You of course need to do this when you are using it. You need to always make sure that that is always on, because you don't want to be, of course, you know, filling up the tank, trying to prime the system and missing them out. As I mentioned earlier, just coming round just to get a better view for you, in here you have a few things to know. Your main thing is your frost protection valve, which is for your boiler. As you can see, it's just here. Now this does react to temperature, and as I say, it's a frost protection valve which will protect the vehicle from frost. Now, at the moment it is open. You know it's open because you've got a blue tab on the outside which is flicked out, and you can see on the diamond you've got a black little nib which has popped up. To close this, you need to turn the diamond like that, so the little nib goes in, and then the blue tab on the side you need to push in like so, and that is now sealed. That'll mean that you can run the boiler and use it without obviously losing any water. When it comes to drain down, all you need to do is flick that little diamond, which will automatically push up the nib on the top and also push out your button. Now this can get a little bit confusing, because sometimes what you'll do is, for example, if you've not used the vehicle for a long while, or you're using the vehicle in a very, very cool climate, what can happen is you'll go to close this system. So you'll close it like I've done there, the black nib will go in, and then you'll go to push this blue button in. You'll push it in and it'll keep on pinging out. The reason being is it's saying that it's too cold for this to operate, because it's in fear of obviously getting frozen water in the system. Because as I say, this reacts to temperature. Now with that in mind, what you need to do is you need to turn your heating on in the vehicle. So don't worry about running your heating without any water. You can do that, don't worry. So run the heating in the vehicle. That's going to heat this area up. That will take about 30 minutes to do. Once you've done that, you can then press in that blue button and seal the system. I'm going to leave that open now. But as you can see, it's all there for you. Above that, you'll then notice that you've got your RCD breaker with all your trip switches in, which are all located there, along with a little test button which is up at the top. This test button is really handy. For example, if you can't get any power to the vehicle, there's obviously a fault with it, and it helps you isolate the problem. Now for example, if you have got that issue, you need to come to here, click that little test button, and if these flick down, you know that you're getting power to the vehicle. So it's therefore not a fault with the site that you're on, or not a fault with your power hookup cable. It's a fault with your vehicle. So a fuse is probably blown. From that point you can then check your fuses. You'll then notice you got your isolation valves on the side here, these grey taps. You don't need to do anything with these. These are simply just for the technicians that are working on the vehicle. Leave them as they are. Coming back through into the bathroom area, you'll notice you got your tap there along with your shower head, which can connect onto here, along with a towel rail there. Coming back down to the toilet, as I mentioned outside, you've got something that's called a blade on the toilet, which will close and open the cassette. This is the blade, this silver little piece of plastic. Pull that across towards you to open, push it away to close. Now when in use, you need to open the cassette so all the waste will drop into the cassette. Once you've done that, you need to click that blue button on there, which will flush the entire system. Once you've done that, you can then push that grey little tab across to seal it. Now, two main reasons why you need to seal it is you need to always close the blade to make sure that you're not getting any nasty odours escaping, and two, that you're always in the habit of that being closed, so when it comes to remove the cassette, you're never running into that issue of it jamming. As I mentioned at the top, you've got a flush button here. That'll only work once your pump's on, do bear that in mind. And then you can see on here, you will get an indication of when the tank is full. So do bear that in mind. Moving into the back, as you can see, The bed is currently dismantled at the moment because I showed you earlier where your fresh water tank was. But you can see that you've got storage in the back. As you can see, we fitted to this one TV bracket in the rear and also the front. And then you've got little pockets of storage here. As you can see, another access point to your tank there. Now if you'd like, you can of course fold this bed up, and how that works is put the foam back here, and you'll notice it's a little bit easier on the other side, but you have got a clip which is on the side here. This will simply, once you've folded up this bed, push across to here, that will hold it into here, and then you can simply remove this panel like so, just by lifting up, and that'll allow you to use and stand things upright in there as a little bit of a garage. You have also, you'll notice, got a sliding door there for more storage, which is easy to access. Coming back to the front, the main thing remaining is of course your pop top roof. Now for your pop top, you'll notice that you've got clips on here, which is either side, as you can see. As you can see, I've pushed up the pop top just to give you an example of how it works, and then you can get your ladders up, which is straight onto there. You'll then notice you have got a netting just to stop you from falling out. To operate the pop top, or to close it and open it, what you need to do is to pull down on this piece of cord here, and that'll allow you to close the pop top. The main important thing with this pop top is to make sure that the canvas on the side is never trapped in between these clips, because it could over time puncture it and wear that away. So do bear that in mind. I'll close this now and show you how to release it and also lock it into place. As you can see, I've just pulled down the pop top now, making sure that the canvas is just behind the clips, like so. This will then allow you to pull down this pop top further, to then connect this metal piece onto the bracket. Once you've done that, you can then turn and tighten each side. I'll just pause the video again just to get it into position and show you how that is done. As you can see, I've just pulled that down, and what that allows you to do is then connect this little bar onto the black bracket. You can then turn this clip here, which I'll show you on the other side as well, like so. Once that's turned, that'll lock in, and then using these clips you can then connect them like so, and that'll lock everything into place. Now when undoing this, you then need to fold out, undo like so. You can see that has released tension, and then pop up the top. Do that on both sides and then you're good to go. That concludes the pop top. Just before moving on, so just one more thing I'd like to say regarding your pump. You'll notice that you've no pump button on the control panel here. The reason for that is because you have a pump which is already activated once you turn the panel on. It's on a micro switch, so all your taps once turned on will allow the pump to activate and pull through the water. Now to ensure that you don't burn out the pump, you need to make sure that all of your taps, if you haven't got water in the system that is, are all closed. And then once you've got your water in, you can turn your tap on, which will activate the pump, so do bear that in mind. So that concludes the handover video on the Burstner Eliseo C600. I hope you enjoyed.